we're going. Hello, welcome back. Episode 4, I believe. If you've been staying along, you'll have seen Brad last week. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And you'd have seen that we've done a barbecue. If you didn't see it, go on the channel, leave a little subscribe, leave a little like, do your thing, and check out the barbecue because we made some really nice burgers. Thank you again, Brad. Today, we're going to make spaghetti bolognese. Now, spaghetti bolognese is by far my favourite thing to cook. I love spaghetti bolognese. I love all Italian food. And despite what Italians will tell you, that it's got to be simple, all you need is a nice bit of olive oil and some pepper, and that's it. However, the reason why Italian food is so good is because you can pretty much do whatever you want with it and it will always taste great. So, that being said, ingredients, baby, get in here. Let's have a look at the ingredients. What we've got is what we call a mirepoix, or in Italian called a sofrito. So that's carrots, celery, and onions. That is the base of all cooking, or red sauces, should I say, in Italian. In French, they call it a mirepoix. In Italian, they call it a sofrito. We've got enough garlic there to choke Count Dracula. That is always a staple. Just your normal minced beef. Now, look, Italians will say it's got to be a 30-70 mix of pork mince and beef mince, but who's got time for that? We're just going to go in with the beef mince. And then we did a little barbecue, another barbecue, a little family barbecue, and we've got a load of tomatoes left over. So these are just sliced tomatoes, and I'm going to put them in there because I don't want them to go to waste. We don't do waste around here. And then, do you know what? Obviously, we're going back in with a Mount Rosier, yeah? I'm going to need a sponsorship soon after all of this because I've used this 3 times now. Black pepper, sea salt, and just to annoy any Italians out there, right? To add a little bit of kick, I'm going to go in with a little bit of harrissa paste because I've only got a little bit left. And what that'll do, we'll add a nice little bit of zing, a nice little bit of tangy, and it will really wake up that bolognese. Worcestershire sauce, that's a little family secret, so don't let anyone know that, but you can also add that. But we're going to go with basil and tomato puree. So let's get to it. Cool. So I've got my oil just heating up there, and I'm going to show you guys a little trick, right? A little trick with dried seasonings, because they can sometimes be a little bit tricky. Sometimes you can put them in your dish right at the end and it won't have any sort of flavour. You won't get that flavour. But these, they really need cooking out. When they're dried, they need cooking first. So I'm going to show you a little example. A little bit of fennel. What that does, right? This is a little bit hot. Just take it off the heat. What that does is adds like a nice little aniseed flavour to your food. So I'm not going to go in with loads. Same with the thyme, because I don't want it to be overpowered. But this oil will literally just be waking that up. So I'm going to go in first with, just step back for me real quick, baby. I'm going to go in now with my mirepoix. That's going to go straight in that hot oil. Cook that right out. Beautiful. Lovely stuff. Get in there, baby. Beautiful. I'm going to mix that in. Just like that. Coat those veggies. I'm just going to cook these until they're soft. But that thyme and that fennel now will just wake up that mirepoix. I'm going to put it back on the heat. Keep it at about 5 if you've got an electric cooker, or like a high medium heat if you're working off a gas. And we're just going to let that cook up, let that soften up, and then we'll go in with the beef and we'll brown that off. Now obviously a staple in the Chef Dan house is pepper, specifically freshly cracked pepper. Now you can pick up in the store the pre-cracked stuff already, but again, when I'm talking about these dried seasonings that really need waking up, it's the same with black pepper. You've kind of got to heat that black pepper up again to wake it up. And I personally believe that most of the flavour of black pepper comes from the scent. You know, like chocolate, that's got a scent, and that gives it half of its flavour. You hear stories about people that lose the sense of smell and they can't taste chocolate anymore. I think it's the same with black pepper. Half of the flavour comes from the cracking. Do you know what? I'm not gonna waste that. This is absolutely fine to just use your bog standard table salt in here. It'll be nice and generous. And that's just, it's literally all salt and pepper does is just wake up food. It just naturally gives it this superpower to make it taste absolutely delicious. It's like a highlighter pen. If you've got a load of documents sitting down in front of you and you just want to get to the cream and potatoes of it, all you've got to do, salt and pepper. Salt, pepper, little bit of lemon juice, and you're golden. Everything. I'm gonna scream it to the high heavens until I'm blue in the face. Salt and pepper. Right. So these onions, celery, mirepoix, this mirepoix is softening up nicely now. So what I'm gonna do, make a little space in there. Get my tomato puree. Now tomato puree is again one of these things, right, that you just gotta cook out. Put it in at the beginning, don't chuck it in with your sauce. Let your veggies cook in that tomato puree. Yeah? Wake it up. And then you'll start getting a nice little fond. You see that little orangeness on the bottom of the pan there? Fond. Now I'm using, if you're interested, I'm using a Tefal sponsored by Jamie Oliver cooking pot. I think I picked it up for about £20 from Tesco's. So if you're interested in getting yourself one, get one. Tefal by Jamie Oliver. Now, no spaghetti bolognese is complete without a Tesco's finest garlic and parsley ciabatta. The best kind of Italian ciabatta you can possibly get from your local Tesco's. Now I'm probably going to put some cheese on here as well because we've got some of that left over from the barbecue. So I'm going to melt some cheese on top of that, make it look absolutely perfecto. Keep that there. Oven's warming up. These are cooking out. Now I'm in a good position where I haven't got to cook any pasta because again, cooked some pasta, got some left over. So we're going to go in with some penne. Lovely bit of penne there, quite a bit for just the two of us, but it needs using up. And it will do for lunch tomorrow. So I'm just going to put some boiling water in that. I think. What do you think, baby? How do you think that smells? Smells good?
Smells good.
Smells good. I think we're ready for beef then. I think we're ready for beef mince. Chuck that in like that. Beautiful stuff. Lovely jubbly. I've got mirepoix going everywhere because I'm a good cook, not a clean cook. That's why I don't cook. Here we go. Right, break that up. Right, so in one of my last videos, you would have heard me rambling on about how you've got to season throughout the whole cooking process. So what I mean by that is, I've seasoned the mirepoix when I got that cooking, but now I've added beef, I'm going to season it again because that beef is going to need seasoning too. So I'm going to season that with a little bit of salt, and you've guessed it, a little bit of pepper. But also at this stage, I don't like this pepper grinder. That pepper grinder's not, it's not meta. It's not the most efficient tactic available for this. I think this one's better. That's just co-op. But the grinder, it's what you need. So I'm gonna season that again. And be generous with your seasoning. You know, anyone anywhere will tell you season from the heart, and you really, really do. So at this stage, as my mince is cooking, as my mirepoix is cooking, I've got salt and pepper in there now. I'm just going to go in with a nice little teaspoon of harrissa. Give that a nice little kick. Because why not? Now harrissa is something you'd usually find in probably Middle Eastern dishes, but do you know what? It's just chilies. It's just heat. So let's go for it. Why not? There's no rules to cooking. There's absolutely no rules. Just crack on, get it done. Do you know what I mean? Experiment a little bit. Sometimes it'll taste good, sometimes it'll taste bad, but what's his name? How many times do you reckon Thomas Edison made the light bulb before he finally discovered the light bulb? You know, he'd have had to fail a lot of times before he finally got it. So that's all cooking is. It's trial and error. Right. Mince is cooking up nicely. Still got a little way to go yet. But now we're going to add in the garlic. I don't add in the garlic until last because garlic's quite delicate. And garlic doesn't really take a long time to cook. And there's nothing worse than burnt garlic. But how does this smell now, babe?
Smells good.
Just good?
Tasty.
Smells tasty. Brilliant. Just you wait until we get them martyrs in. Then it's really going to come alive. You smell that, baby. Smell that. Smell that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Juicy. Lucy. It's flipping goosey. Right. I'm going to get the lid on that. Cool. Beef's cooking up now nicely. Garlic's cooking up. The veggies are nice and soft. So now's the perfect time to get the red in there. Just like that. Deglaze the bottom of that pan with the red wine. Now, there's 5 flavour profiles that really make food good. And that is like salt, heat, fat, acid. And acid is what we're using the red wine for, because that is going to cut through the fat and the salt. And it's subtle. These are little subtle things. The last one's umami, and the umami is going to come from a bit of Worcester sauce. I think that might add a nice little bit of depth into the dish. But typically, if you can incorporate all 5 of those things into your food or whatever dish you're making, and it might just be a simple little pasta. You probably do this at home anyway. You probably do a little spaghetti bolognese on a weekday. I mean, this is our Wednesday weekday meal, so you know, perfect for a little weekday meal. But just try and incorporate those 5 things, and you'll soon find you've got a really tasty dish. Okay, so got everything cooking off now. Everything I've said. A little splash of Worcestershire sauce. That's your umami. Little splash, and then we're going to go in with these lovely fresh tomatoes. Nothing better than fresh tomatoes. Now look, chopped tomatoes will do just fine, but like I said, we have these left over anyway, so we're just going to chop them in. Now you said something interesting to me earlier, didn't you, baby, about these tomatoes, and you're like, well, you're going to have to chop them up. No. So with the heat, this soft flesh on the inside is going to break down, and that's going to just pretty much disintegrate into the sauce. All that's really going to be left is these skins, which are pretty much just going to curl up. So I'm going to put the lid back on that now and let it cook. A little mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Coming through on the mic, and we're cooking some food. There's the all-important dressing of the garlic bread. Like I said before, you can't have Italian food without garlic bread. It's a must. It's a staple. I don't care what they say in Naples, you're having some garlic bread. Alright? I'm very passionate about it. And we're just putting cheese on. Let's check this out real quick. Right. Tomatoes are breaking down lovely. That's gotten a lot more watery. I wonder why that is. Why is that, Chef Dan? I'll tell you why. Because all the water is coming out of them tomatoes now. That's exactly why. So all the water, all the flavour of them tomatoes, it's just going to come out of them. Fill up that ragu. Now I'm sure every Italian in Italy is screaming at the screen right now saying, Mamma mia. This is another how you make a ragu. This is another bolognese. But a bolognese, traditionally, is leftovers, right? And this is leftovers. So, ragu. Right, just for good luck, smash in a couple of bay leaves. Simples, easy. It's just cooking, it's just food. Let it rip, baby. Right, come here, babe, let's have a look at this, right? Look, what did you see before? Tomatoes. Tell me where you see tomatoes in that now. See? They've all just disappeared. It's all just melted into this sauce. And that is on its way to being a perfect ragu. Now, look, if you've got all night, if you've got some time, I would recommend putting maybe 3 cups of water in this with a stock cube, vegetable or beef, it doesn't matter, whichever one you like, and then cooking it out for about another hour or 2. That'll make it a little bit nicer, but because we're just doing a quick little meal here, we're pretty much going to cook this now for another 5 to 10 minutes. Just enough to get the pasta heated up, which I'm going to do now. Hello! Boiling hot water coming through. And this is already cooked once. So we're just going to heat this back up. So I'm going straight in with boiling hot. In a hot pan. Happy days. The ciabatta's already in the oven. I am going to season this water again. Bosh. And I'm going to turn this way down low, baby shakes. Just keep that warm now. Lid back on. Silence. Silencia. Perfect. Just the way we like it. Get these lids back on. Bosh. Yes, people. Right. Lid off. Look at that bolognese. What I'm going to do, get these out of here. No one wants them. Now look, pasta just needed a little reheat. So, what I'm going to do, take a little bit of that pasta water, just that, bang it in there. Beautiful. Then I can drain this off, and because it's penne, it's not spaghetti noodles, it's not linguine. I don't care, okay? Traditionally, yes, it uses that. But like I said, ragu is a leftover dish. It's a poor people's dish. It was made for peasants, the poorest of the poor people of Italy. And I am the poorest of the poor YouTube influencer. So this is what we're getting. And I promise you now, I cannot stress this enough. Best ragu you'll ever eat. Cut. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do now is just add a nice handful of basil, like that, into there. I've mixed the pasta in. This is great for bulk meals, you know. If you're a penny pincher and you love saving yourself a little bit of money, there's nothing wrong with this. Cook off just a bag of pasta. How much is a bag of pasta down at Tesco's these days? Like what? £1.50, £1.90 top end, maybe a little bit more expensive if you get the Napolina stuff. But this will last you all week. All week that'll last you. If it's just a single person. I might add a little bit more basil. Do you know what? I am going to add a little bit more basil. Somebody stop me. Call the police. He's adding more basil? Damn. Crazy. Lock this man up. Right. So, I've added the basil in last because it's a fresh leaf. It's just a delicate little flower, basil. It doesn't need a lot of cooking for you to get real potent, pungent flavours out of that basil. If you put it in right at the beginning, all that flavour cooks out and the flavour's gone by the time you get to actually eating it. You put it in right at the end, oh man, it's like I've just grabbed a bit of basil. Always put fresh in the end, dried in at the beginning. This is about ready for serving. Let's get it plated up, babe. Let's plate. Right, here I am, like a little old Donna from Italy with my big pan. serving up some ragu. Now look, there are far better chefs out there than me, right? That could probably tell you a better way of making spaghetti bolognese / ragu. But this is how I make it. And if you've made it this far, do us a favour, subscribe to the channel, leave a little like, leave a little comment, tell me how you like yours. Tell me I'm completely wrong, I've done it all backwards. Well, if you could leave a little bit of support for me, for the channel, for good old baby shakes behind the camera, then it would be much appreciated. Thank you for sticking around. All this gets now, a little bit of leftover basil, sprinkled on the top. If you've got any parmesan, stick that on there as well. Why not? Go crazy, let loose. But this has been Ragu with Chef Dan. Thanks for watching, tune in next week. Roll the cameras, roll the cameras. You can't forget, listen, key ingredient, garlic bread right here. That's the garlic bread. It's gonna go on the plate. Thanks for watching. Come back next week. We're gonna cook something else. Love.